What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of the 1% Life. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer, JoanieDhillon, and I am here. I'm going to show up for those of you who are live watching me on my Facebook page, JoanieDhillon. Can you see? Look at this. Isn't this beautiful? I'm out here in Heber, Utah, which is like 40 minutes out of Park City. This is my room. I got an awesome fireplace, a little suite going on, and yeah, it's super fun. Seeing my clothes sprawled out. All good. So what am I doing? Why are we talking about thinking and growing rich today? What specifically does that mean, and how does it apply to you? So if you're joining us live on the Facebooks or at the time of this streaming, let us know where you're tuning in from and tag somebody who may want to hear this episode. And if you're listening to us on one of our podcasting platforms, welcome in. And we hope that you get value out of today's episode. So we're talking about this because I am here at a 3-4 day mastermind in Utah in a 26,000 square foot mansion. I mean, actually it's a log home. It's the largest log home in all of America. It's called a Timber Moose Lodge. You can look it up, timbermooselodge.com, I believe. Anyways, it's gorgeous. And one of my coaches, one of my mentors, that's really what I like to call him, he throws an event twice a year for those people in his mastermind. And this is the third in-person one I've done with him over the last year and a half. And so what happens specifically is that 15 top performers from all around the world, different industries, join up at a remote location. And we literally lock ourselves into a house for 3 days, 3 solid days, and time on the front and back end. And we mastermind. And for those of you who don't know what a mastermind is specifically, Napoleon Hill talks about this. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, hence the topic of this show. And what a mastermind is, as Napoleon Hill describes it, it's maybe not verbatim, but I love this description. When two minds get together, a third mind is formed, and that third mind is considered the mastermind. And it's a beautiful place where thinking outside of the box, the proverbial box, is allowed for, right? There's a creative energy that forms when you get out of your current environment, out of your location of living, out of the office you go to every day, out of the home that you live in, out of the quote unquote problems of everyday life and the life that you live every day. That when you leave that environment and you put yourself in a different environment, it can actually also be a virtual environment. It doesn't need to be an actual environment, a physical space. I do believe that helps. What happens is, when you get together with other like-minded individuals, or I like to be the stupidest person in the room, I call it the dumbest person in the room. That's always my goal, is to surround myself with thinkers and achievers who are operating on a completely different level. We have an Olympic medalist here who's at the house. We have 3 world poker champions. I just interviewed Mark Herm, who will air his episode on this Friday, so definitely tune into that. Incredible, was #1 in the world for a period of time. We've got a couple world champions. One guy's won like 12 million in earnings, both online and offline. They're just actually they're all about the same. Like, they're just incredible human beings and thinkers, right? No matter what your craft is, you'll hear about this in my episode with Mark on Friday. No matter what it is that you do, there's a level of thinking required to be the best at it in the world, right? If that's your goal. And it may not always be what you initially seek to get or to gain, is to be the #1 in the world. But if you seek excellence and you seek to be one of the best at it, at your craft, you've got to think differently. You have to be different than the masses. And so what's happening in this environment in particular is that each of us gets a hot seat, right? Where each given time, mine's actually coming up just after my massage here in 50 minutes. And so I got a short massage coming up, so I'm going to make this brief. But and then I'm on the hot seat. I'm the last person to go over 3 days, and I'm kind of freaked out, to be honest. and because what happens is you get vulnerable. You share the things that you're dealing with. We had people talk about business I don't know if I'm achieving my ultimate potential in business, or I don't trust how I'm generating wealth right now. I don't trust that my relationship is being served in a way, or I'm serving my relationship in a way that I need to serve it, right? So all of these incredible epiphanies come out of being in a group of incredibly successful individuals who are playing at a high level, thinking at a high level, and open to growth, right? They have a growth mindset, which means you are always willing to become better, to gain new skills, to stretch your capabilities and your identity, really, to achieve what it is you want to do, as opposed to, I was given a certain level of intelligence, and that means, and I was always from a poor family, so we'll always be poor. Well, what if that weren't true? What if you could actually shift and change and grow and expand your thinking to ever evolving levels of consciousness? And therefore that allows you to create and be and have whatever it is that you want to create, be, do, and have in your life. So that's what I believe this mastermind has provided for me, is a forum that I can escape, the everyday challenges that can come with life and do come with life, right? And we all got them, right? It's been nice to just not have Diego in total anxiety for 3 to 4 hours every single night. That's my doggy. And actually sleep. On top of that, I've been able to, even though it wasn't my hot seat opportunity until, 50 minutes from now, I'm learning and growing from these other hot seats and people who are getting coaching through their work, right? And hearing what it is that their feedback is, whether it's from, anybody in the room that comes from any varied background. We all have a different perspective to provide for people. So why is this important to you? Well, I want you to think about the circle that you are surrounded by right now. Who is it that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis? If you're an entrepreneur, are you putting yourself in environments and circles of people who are playing at a different level than you, or, maybe in different industries at the same level, right? Or higher? I like to always, for me, it's like, I want to have someone playing at a much higher level. We've got one of my friends, Scott DeMullen. I mean, he's behind some of the greatest names in the world. And we were just watching testimonial videos from Bob Proctor and Scott. And he's like, I can tell you what he eats for lunch, which is fascinating to me, to know what Bob Proctor eats for lunch. I don't want to know every day. And I'm just teasing, but he has such yeah, I digress. Okay, let's get back on. But my point is that when you're dealing with interacting and put into rooms and containers with this level of thinkers, it naturally will expand your level of thinking, right? Because you won't be, I'll give you an example. So one of my friends came into this mastermind 70% convinced that he was, or bought into this new idea of how he was going to live his life and go into, COVID's changed a lot of things for people. And so sometimes some people have disconnected from their businesses and others have grown their businesses. And he actually found a real value in disconnecting from all of this incredible stuff he's created his entire life. And then there's this really powerful opportunity that would create massive impact, massive significance. And, they are like, we'll let you work as little or as much as you want to, but we want you on board in some way, shape, or form. Well, prior to the mastermind, this person was 70% weight on the side of doing this thing, even though his values have so shifted, and he's like traveling the world in a Mercedes van or the country, and like enjoying life with his wife and all of these really great things. He said, that stuff matters to me now, right? And what also matters is contributing in some way, creating impact still in the world, while really just disconnecting and not having to think about anything. I mean, he's had an incredible career. Well, coming to the mastermind and having conversations with people around this has really opened up his thinking in a different way. And going into his hot seat, he said, I'm actually 70% on the other side of not doing it and creating, something different. And one of the gals said, well, who's to say you can't do both, right? Like, what if it wasn't an either or situation and it was yes to both? And what would that look like so it could support all of your needs, right? And your values that are really important to you right now, which is, freedom and enjoying your time with your significant other, life, and being able to not be constricted to a business that's very demanding. So it just allowed for a lot of really creative ways of thinking about possibility that now is available to this individual who wasn't thinking in this way before, who thought, like, if I commit to this other project, like I'm in 100-fold, and it's, because that's how he's always shown up in everything that he's done. It's just really given 100%. What if there's another possibility. We talk about this in dichotomous thinking, either or thinking, right? We can get trapped into either or thinking. It's like, I can either do this or I can do that. Well, what if there were other options available? And what this mastermind provides, and what other masterminds and other spaces, collective spaces of great thinkers that you can tap into provides, is a different perspective, right? People who come from different backgrounds and perspectives bring something different to the table. And he's just walked away with, holy cow, I'm actually completely on the other side of this thing, and I'm still going to give them an opportunity to, to tell me more about that project. But I'm actually really clear, and I think I know what I want to do. So I share this with you because number one, I want you to ask yourself, are you playing in a big enough circle of influence for you? Are you playing in a circle of influence that keeps you suppressed, that keeps you underperforming, that keeps you, maybe it's a circle of complainers, maybe it's a circle of underachievers, maybe it's a circle of apathetic, people who are just have succumbed to the woes of life and the crazy world that we live in right now, and they just want to stay in that place? Or are you playing with world changers and people who are willing to see possibility for what it is and think outside the proverbial box and constantly achieve different levels of excellence, right? In their personal relationships in life, and really are out there creating impact in the world. And if you're not, well, I encourage you to do that. And if you really believe that you are meant for more and that you're here to create great things in life, those things come out of a different environment than the one that you are currently living in. Albert Einstein says you cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created the problem. Now, I want you to really think about that for a moment, and think about what problem or challenge, perhaps you want to call it, you're currently experiencing right now. What's the one thing that if you were to have clarity around that, if you were to have that thing solved, would be a massive needle mover for you? And what is the current level of thinking that you're bringing to it, right? It's the one that created the problem. So how is it that you can solve that problem, create a solution, or as I like to call it, options with an S, as to what the solution is, to have choice as opposed to either or possibility? It's either I do this or I don't do this, or if I do this, then that's going to happen. What if there's more options? And I encourage you to really think about this real possibility, because it exists. There is always more than one possibility. There are always more than one options as a solution. And if you're not playing in these rooms or these 26,000 square foot log cabins, are you stretching yourself big enough? Are you putting yourself in the limelight of what is possible for you, in the path of what is possible for you, is perhaps a better way to say it. And if not, seek those out. Seek them out with everything you have. There are so many communities. Heck, we have a community that's starting in just a couple days, depending on when you watch this or listen to this episode. And, the Get Prime Challenge, perfect opportunity for you to be with top performers from around the world, and some aspiring top performers, but really people who are creating great things. So there are so many different opportunities for you out there to find those masterminds. I mean, I always talk about this. I don't talk about it from a place of bragging about how much I spend on these masterminds. I probably more so talk about it behind the scenes and not so much on this podcast, but I invest into myself a lot. The interview that you'll hear on Friday from Mark Herm, a world poker champion, he talks about working with someone who's, a lot of money. We're talking about the cost of a house in many places, right? And that's just what we do. We invest into ourselves in that level. Why? Because number one, we know that we are worth it. And I know that you are too. And it can be uncomfortable, and it may not need to be at that price point, but I do recommend stretching yourself. I mean, how do you ask your clients to spend thousands of dollars with you if you're not willing to stretch and grow and get uncomfortable with your finances yourself? If you're not willing to invest into you, why should anybody else invest into you? You are your greatest asset. And if you don't believe in you and aren't willing to spend money into your personal growth and self-development, or self-growth and personal development, why should anybody else see that potential in you? Whether it's an employer, whether it's a team member, a new hire, if you're an entrepreneur, a potential partner, affiliate partner, whatever it is, a significant other, heck, we've got to be investing into our growth. We have to be investing into the next level, the next 2.0 version of you. Otherwise, I believe you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. There's no standing still. And for me, this is one of my highest, it's actually on top of freedom. Freedom is my number one core value. Personal growth and self-development is my number two value. It's like I have to constantly be growing and evolving who I am as a human being, and shifting, just becoming a better person for not only my significant other, but for my team, to be the best leader that I can be for them, to lead them into the future, into our compelling vision of what we want to create and birth into the world, and all the millions of people that we want to help serve and change their lives. And also for my clients and what they deserve. They deserve somebody who is investing the time, energy, and money into bettering themselves if they're asking them, if I'm asking them to do just that. So this is a real foreign concept for many people. I know there are actually a couple people here like, oh, I've never done this type of, and they're younger, but they're at the top of their game, and they know that there's something else that's needed next, right? Yeah, a couple of the poker players are like, I've never been to a mastermind or an event like this before. I never knew it was even out there and available. And yet you'll hear from some of them, like, there were times where, one of them was really struggling at a deep all-time low emotionally. And he admitted to me today, he said, Joanie, actually, I hid myself from other people because I didn't want to impact them. Well, that's, to me, it's even more important during those times than any other to be with others who can help support you and help raise you up at a time where you don't have the resources to know how to get out of the situation, right? And you can see from whatever it is that you do and that you excel in and you're great at, like there can be real lows to life, right? A lot of people are seriously struggling right now, and support is needed now more than ever. And if we have the limited thinking to not know how to see past the outcome that feels possible from now to the end of the year, like, oh, I just don't know, I got to give up on the year, I might have to write it off. Well, if we don't see the possibility in that because we're not surrounding ourselves with people who believe that it's possible, and please listen to the episode on Friday. You'll hear Mark talk about how he manifested, his goal was $5 million in 90 days in a 90-day, exercise of using his subconscious mind. He said, well, it wasn't 90 days. I think maybe it was, we supposed to do it over, anyway, you'll hear. It was like 67 days or something like that. Manifested 7 million. What? And, that's what's available to you in whichever way, shape, and form that is for you. When you just, and if you're like, I don't know how to find a community like you're in, Joanie, I don't know how to find these masterminds. Well, I recommend, or I would at least advise you to join us inside our free, and it's not, thousands of dollars. I pay $25,000, $35,000 for each of my masterminds, sometimes more. It's not that, it's free. And we want to help you, at least give you an incubator for 7 days of really tapping into massive positivity, momentum. And I want to coach you in how to train your subconscious mind, that part of your mind that's responsible for success and responsible for pretty much close to almost everything that you do. It is subconsciously driven. I want to train you how to really utilize that and create greatness, like you'll hear my guest on Friday talk about. And yeah, I want to invite you to that. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you are interested in joining us in that free Get Primed challenge, you're certainly willing to, or we'd love for you to do so. Rather, go to getprimedchallenge.com, with a D, like primeyourmindchallenge.com, and join us there for sure. And if you're up for it, spend the $47 on the back end after you're all opted in for free and join us backstage. You'll get me coaching you live throughout many days of this challenge, and people who joined us last time. So that was by far thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of value. And whatever it is that you need and all the content that we go through every single day, I'm going to teach you my 6-step Get Primed methodology as well, so that you can tap into the power of your subconscious mind to create incredible results this year and blasting into 2021 and all that you desire to create. So Rockstar, thank you for joining me today, for allowing me to chat with you about the power of a mastermind and how to think and grow rich. Because that whole, that saying, thinking and growing rich, really does come around to being in an environment, a container that supports that outcome, if that's important to you. We've had so many conversations over the last couple of days about, I'm so inspired by the level of talent that's here that is giving back. We have a guy who supports, 50, 100 families. It's probably more than that in Honduras. One of the incredible poker players, Nick, and I'm going to get him on the cast as well. And he's like, people just come to him and he feels compelled to give. And so then he feels more compelled to win, and God continues to bless them with more winning, so we can continue to provide for these women with single moms with children over in Honduras, and other people, who are just giving in incredibly powerful ways. But it comes down to contribution as well. When I think of the word rich, to me, it means impact. The more money you make, the more impact you create. We cannot create impact if we're not really create impact in the world, like really create a massive impact in the world, unless we have the financial means to be able to do that. I mean, look, there's all the talking you can do is certainly welcome. Being an activist is great, but what ultimately creates change? It's money, it's wealth. So get out there and put yourself in the room of incredible thinkers, top 1%ers, top 0.001%ers, who will expand your level of thinking and beingness and allow you to rise. I got to go to my massage. It's starting now, and wish me luck on my hot seat. I'll see you guys later. Get out there and change some lives today and be unstoppable. Peace.